What's up, everybody? Ryan Thomas here, live on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, bringing you another edition of the Thomas Take, and we got some big news out of the combat sports world as Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin is off. The rematch, which was originally scheduled for May 5th, Cinco de Mayo in Las Vegas, is off. Mainly due to the fact that Canelo Alvarez tested positive a few weeks ago for a substance that he claims is in Mexican horse meat or something like that. Oh boy. So I wrapped up a long edition of the podcast. I did the 3 segments of 32 picks in 32 days, went through the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, went through the Chicago Bears, went through the San Francisco 49ers, talked about Max Holloway taking this short notice fight in the sport of mixed martial arts, obviously, with Khabib Nurmagomedov this Saturday night at UFC 223. Also talked about how Tony Ferguson will be stripped of the UFC interim lightweight title due to the fact that he had to pull out of the fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov due to injury. And obviously, my World Series prediction, who I think will be in the World Series come October or November, whenever the season ends. So tune into that. You can check that out on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast YouTube channel, as well as my Twitter at Thomas Takeover, as well as the Thomas Take Sports Podcast Facebook page. Tune in, check it out, like the page, follow me, as well as subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate it. Also, last but not least, check out teespring.com for Thomas Take Sports Podcast merchandise, hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, I should say plural. Mugs. I don't know. That just made me laugh. So, yeah, check all that stuff out. I would greatly appreciate it. It'd be the best way for you guys to tune into the podcast and enjoy it and obviously take it in. So I want to really sound off on this Canelo Alvarez dilemma or mockery that has been. So back in September of 2017, this past year, Canelo and Triple G was a huge fight. 2 fighters that were set to fight each other that have been rivals, that have former friend, training partner. It had such a great drama story to it that it was the biggest fight in boxing that was kind of somewhat one-upped by the crossover event that was Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. Conor and Floyd fought in August 26, 2017, and Canelo and Gennady Golovkin, I believe, fought sometime in September. I think it was the beginning of September, if I'm not mistaken. It was a couple weeks after the fact. So that was the true fight. The Canelo Triple G fight, that was the true fight. The fight where it was the 2 best boxers going head-to-head. 2 of the best names in the sport of boxing going head-to-head. Not one of the best names in boxing, formerly the best name in boxing, versus an MMA fighter. Floyd was obviously retired for 2 years. Canelo and Triple G kind of took that spot as the 2 mainstays, the 2 big names in the sport. And I was excited for both fights. I watched both fights. Actually ordered both fights on pay-per-view. And coming out of the, Canelo Triple G fight, I thought that Triple G resoundingly won. I didn't think it was even close. I thought Triple G won at least 9 to 10 rounds versus Canelo Alvarez. And Canelo, as tough and as durable and as nasty as he was in there, he just wasn't on his game. And maybe if I'm being really, really generous, I'd say Triple G won that fight 8 rounds to 4. If I'm being really, really generous, realistically, I thought 9 rounds to 3, or 9 rounds to 9 rounds to 3, or 10 rounds to 2, or 10 rounds to 3, I should say. 9 rounds to 4, or 8 rounds to 5, whatever it was. I thought Gennady Golovkin won 8 rounds at least. We'll just leave it at that. I know it was a 12-round fight. My addition is terrible today. So I'm thinking all these thoughts on this, and I'm just flustered. So I'm pissed, and I really want to let it be known that I'm pissed because I want combat sports to succeed as much as possible. I want the sport of boxing to do well. I want the sport of mixed martial arts to do well. I want grappling to do well. FlowGrappling.com has really gotten big in terms of the grappling community. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai. There's been tournaments all around the world featuring, former MMA champions and world Jiu-Jitsu players. And I want that stuff to do very, very well. Kickboxing is growing. Kevin Van Ostrand is a guy that I know. His trainer, Amir Abdallah, straight out of Lockport. Van Ostrand he just lost his last fight, but that was a huge fight in Glory Kickboxing. It was a champion versus champion fight. So I want all combat sports to do well, and I preface all my statements here and the headline of the podcast by saying that. I want all combat sports to succeed because I am not only a fan, I am a diehard fan, and I want them all to do really, really well. So when I say that Canelo versus Triple G2 being off and not happening, I'm not saying it with any happiness or anything like that. And I'm not saying it in a way like, MMA is better than boxing. I don't really necessarily think that. I think certain aspects of MMA are better than boxing. I think certain aspects of boxing are better than MMA. I want boxing to succeed. So I want to preface my statements here by saying all that. But I have to say, and I would be an idiot not to say it, but this is terrible for the sport of boxing. The fact that this rematch is off. The fact that there is a very realistic possibility that this rematch might never, ever happen. And I say that because boxing itself has proven many things over the years, but the one thing that it's proven is that they don't put on the fights that the fans want to see the exact moment they want to see them. What I mean by that is obviously Floyd versus Manny and obviously Canelo versus Triple G. I can use that example outright. It took 4 years for that fight to get made. It took almost 7 to 8 years for Floyd versus Manny to come to fruition. The first talks of it started in 2008. It didn't happen until, or actually 2007 didn't happen until 2015. So 2014. So it took a long while for that fight to come together. And, I thought it was 2015. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember, but May 2nd, I remember that was the date. But this is just unbelievable. The fact that you have a guy in Canelo Alvarez who's got these guys around him, the quote-unquote the next golden boy of boxing. He's got the golden boy, Oscar De La Hoya. He's got the promotion around him. He's got the push. He gets a full, you want to use like wrestling, WWE terms, he's the baby face of boxing. He's the guy that boxing is trying to build as the next great superstar. And rightfully so. The guy's a prodigy. He started boxing when he was young. He's Mexican, the next great Mexican fighter. Easy sell in terms of the marks out there that are boxing fans. He's an easy sell. But when you have a situation like this where a fighter tests positive, you gotta scrap it. And they're doing the right thing by scrapping it, but it is such a stain and a skid mark on the sport that it doesn't need right now. And it's a fight that the first one ended. As I said, I thought Triple G won at least 8 to 10 rounds of that fight, which was a 12 round fight, I believe. And the judging rules the fight a draw. So the next thing to do, obviously, is to build a rematch. And it felt as if when they said the fight was a draw, it felt as if they're saying this fight is a draw so they could make another one. That was what my thought process was. I thought, this is so dirty, so scummy. They're naming this fight a draw, so it adds intrigue into the next fight. They're not putting out a clear-cut winner because they don't want to put Canelo on the L column. They don't want to put Triple G on the L column because he won, so they'll just draw it. And it was such a robbery of my $64.99 that I was so pissed off. And I thought, well, I know I'm not going to buy the rematch. I'll watch it, but I know I'm not going to buy it. And now I'm not going to do either because it's off. And not only that, I don't know if this fight will ever happen again. I think Triple G is going to fight Billy Joe Saunders, who's a straight killer, and it's a very dangerous fight for Triple G, and Triple G is one of the most dangerous men alive in the boxing ring. I think the most dangerous man alive outside of Lomachenko, outside of Wilder. Triple G's one of the most, just a fantastic boxer. So, he was able to take everything that Canelo threw at him and was willing to dish it back twice as hard. And that was the performance of his career. The fact that that fight was ruled a draw was a travesty. The fact that this fight is not coming back is a tragedy. And I think that Oscar de la Hoya should never, ever, ever, whether it's at a press conference, whether it's in any public forum, I don't want to see one damn interview of Oscar de la Hoya touting Canelo Alvarez as this next great superstar. He needs to go away for a little while, STFU, and stay away from the sport of boxing. I am so sick of this guy speaking on behalf of Canelo Alvarez like Paul Heyman does for Brock Lesnar in a WWE ring. It's so corny, it's stupid, and nobody gives a rat's ass about Oscar de la Hoya. They really don't. And I think they did at one point. I really think they did at one point, but now it is just so overplayed. It is so annoying. It is just so mind-numbing to see this guy talk about the sport of boxing as if he has any clue what is going on. And mainly I feel that way because he duped everybody. Talked about how great Canelo was, how he's this, how he's that. Canelo got his ass whooped by Triple G, realistically, and then he has the just cojones to test positive, take something illegally, test positive, and then basically just let this rematch go by the wayside. A rematch for a fight that he lost. By the wide majority of the public believes that he lost that first fight. And he's the one that tests positive. If this was Triple G, it would be even worse. But the fact that, if it was Triple G, it would be bad. But this is even worse. And I am just shocked that people take everything that Oscar de la Hoya says, verbatim as truthful honesty. This guy doesn't give a damn about anything but his own pocket, the weight of his pocket, how much money he has, however you want to put it. That's all this guy cares about. Doesn't care that Canelo tested positive. He doesn't care. There's been no statement, nothing from Oscar de la Hoya. No one wants to hear him talk. No one wants to hear him sell us Canelo Alvarez. We don't need to be sold Canelo Alvarez. They've already done enough of that. They already tried to sell him enough before the first fight as the guy that would beat Triple G. It didn't happen. Whether it was a draw or in the eyes of millions of people, a loss for Canelo, that did not happen. Adelaide Byrd should have never been allowed to judge a fight again after that fight. And guess what she's doing now? She's judging fights in the UFC. Thanks. Who the hell thought of that? Who wrote that up? I would love to know. That is just outrageous. A nail in the coffin of boxing, and I'm not saying it to be happy. I'm saying it, I'm pissed off. Triple G versus Billy Joe Saunders is a huge fight. But come on. They knew that he lost that fight. They had to set a rematch. They let their guy dabble in the things he shouldn't have been dabbling in, and they don't have the balls to admit it. They just don't. And now this is going to play out in court. Triple G's not getting any younger. It's such a joke. The biggest fight in boxing was Canelo and Triple G, and people are going to forget about it. I'm Ryan Thomas. That was the Thomas Take. Take care.